Meanwhile, former Vice President Joe Biden is set to make his first public appearance a bit later this morning after several women accused him of inappropriate behavior. Biden not apologizing as he considers a 2020 White House bid. Lara Trump is the Trump 2020 senior campaign advisor. She joins us now. Happy Friday morning to you. All right, so many questions for you. First, the lilac. Bill wants to know. It looks good, right?
I think you guys look amazing together. Let's do this every day, guys. I don't know why you're not.
All right, color coordination. It is important. All right, moving on to Joe Biden. He put out this video, but one thing that everybody picked up on is he did not formally apologize for these actions. What is the Trump campaign take on what is happening here with these accusations?
Well, I'll give you my take on it, and my take is probably different than a lot of people's. I know what it feels like to have things written about you, said about you that are not true. There's very little accountability these days with social media on a lot of networks and a lot of news outlets. I don't know Joe Biden personally. I've never met him. I don't really know his character, but he's been in the public eye, Sandra, for so long that for all of a sudden, the timing of this, it just seems very convenient. If I were already in the race for the 2020 Democrat nomination, I probably would not like to run against Joe Biden. So who knows why this came up now? It certainly has made a lot of people uncomfortable. At least he's addressed it. He probably does owe some more explanation. But I will tell you, I take everything with a grain of salt these days because I know what it's like, and our family knows what it's like better than anyone, to have things said about you and you be accused of things, and maybe it's not the full truth.
What did you think of the president's edited tweet of that video?
We can always count on the president for a little comic relief and a little humor. I think he was having fun with it.
All right, here's a little bit more of that video Joe Biden put out.
Social norms have begun to change, they've shifted, and the boundaries of protecting personal space have been reset. And I get it. But I always believe governing, quite frankly, life for that matter, is about connecting with people. That won't change, but I will be more mindful and respectful of people's personal space.
So should he apologize?
Well, maybe specifically to some of these women who say that he made them very uncomfortable. But again, I kind of stay away from things like this because, again, things can get really out of hand and misconstrued and blown out of proportion once the media gets a hold of things. A lot of times people want to be the first instead of be right about a news story. So I don't know, maybe he can directly speak to some of these women and apologize to them. Maybe it'll make them feel better.
Should it disqualify him from running?
You know what? I'll leave that up to the Democrat voters, and they can decide on that.
All right. Meanwhile, the 2020 field for Democrats continues to grow.
Yes.
Tim Ryan now in the field there. How is the Trump campaign feeling about this growing list of Democratic candidates?
I continue to find it so interesting when you have a president who is as successful as our president is, who I think is going to very easily win re-election. I think he'll win by more in 2020 than 2016. You know what? If they want to continue to come out and everybody get in, it'll just make it, I think, more entertaining for all these primary debates on the Democrat side. But it really hasn't made us nervous. It hasn't given us pause at all.
You know, you heard that from Howard Schultz last night in that town hall with Brett and Martha. He was making the point, if Democrats continue to embrace some of these ideas like socialism, they're going to hand the presidency to Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of trying to out-Bernie one another, it would seem. They're trying to get so far left and very extreme. I don't disagree with that. Regardless of who it is, we feel comfortable. But certainly, if you have people that are running on a socialist platform and the implications that would have for this country, I think people now with Venezuela being brought to the forefront and people really understanding what socialism means, I think it's very scary to people. So if you have a very far left candidate, certainly we feel very comfortable about the re-election.
Does President Trump have a problem with winning back the women vote for 2020?
You know what? This is a question I get all the time. I think the answer is no. Actually, in the midterms, we saw that he did much better with women or the Republicans did much better with women than anticipated. And when it comes to a personal decision where you are by yourself in a voting booth, I just always think people think about the money in their pockets, the safety of this country, the future outlook they have maybe for their children and their successes. and I think they're going to vote for Donald Trump.
Let me just throw this up on the screen. This is the Washington Post on the 2020 Trump campaign. I believe they published this last week, and I'm quoting it directly. Some advisors, referencing the Trump campaign, are particularly concerned about the president's persistent unpopularity among female and suburban voters. Is that the case?
Well, first of all, let's call it's the Washington Post. So the some advisors, I'm not naming anyone, as far as I know, and with everyone that I deal with on a daily basis at our campaign, we feel very comfortable. All
right, the president's expected down at the border. He's expected to leave the White House shortly. Expectations for this today?
Well, I think it's really important that he's going down there. We have to showcase what we are doing on our southern border because it's integral to the safety of this country, to the future of this country in so many ways. This president has been so strong on immigration and fixing our broken immigration system. I think it's huge that he's going down there. I think it's going to be incredibly successful.
Final question. Primary challenger for the president, Republican challenger?
Oh, my gosh. What a dumb thing to do, to try and challenge this president. By the way, not just as a Republican, anyone, but this is going to be the candidate for the Republican Party, Donald Trump.
Always great to have you here, Lara Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joining me right now, Congress of Racial Equality leader Niger Innis and former White House advisor under President Clinton, Doug Schoen. Good to see you both. Doug,
Good to see you,
my goodness, they just won't stop, and I find it historically just so wrong and culturally insulting, frankly, to anyone who lost a family member during those horrific World War II years, whether it was in a Nazi Germany concentration camp or whether it was a family member who fought to free Germany. You got these guys out there, these young guys, trying to say that the administration is the equivalent of the Third Reich? Come on.
Well, I guess I come at it a slightly different way, but reach the same conclusion, Trish. I am proud that our embassy is now, because of President Trump, in Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. I'm proud that this week he recognized the sovereignty of the State of Israel over the Golan Heights. To compare a president who has a 95% approval rating in Israel to someone who has anything to do with Nazi Germany is, to me, ridiculous. And on immigration, call Jay Johnson, Obama's Secretary for Homeland Security, who said we have a crisis at the border, acknowledging what the president said. What we need is immigration reform, not crazy, absurd rhetoric.
Yeah, as I started off the show, what I was saying was they're not, you can have immigration reform and you can have border security. Actually, you should have both. They go hand in hand. And
Absolutely.
There are Democrats right now, Niger, that are saying, oh, no, if you want border security, then somehow you're racist against Hispanics that would want to come here. No! You can have strong borders while simultaneously inviting people to come here and participate in our great country, in our great economy, but, make it easier for people to do it the right way.
Some of the folks that want legal immigration, want border security more than any other, are Hispanic Americans. There are polls that are showing that Trump's popularity with the Hispanic community is going to go through the roof if he's successful at implementing his immigration policy. Look, the Democratic Party, I can't wait for 2020 because I've got my popcorn out, because watching the Democratic follies, also known as the presidential campaign, is going to be hysterical. The Democratic Party of Bill Clinton circa 1992, of JFK, of RFK, of even Jimmy Carter in 1976, of Doug Schoen in the old days when he was a mainstream Democrat. That Democrat Party is long gone. It is buried. It has been replaced by a group of angry, hateful folk who are going to be competing to see who's most crazy.
Well, look, Doug, you predicted this in your book where you looked at Venezuela and the threat of socialism, and you've predicted that, socialism, if we go down that path, it's very hard to recover from that. And that's exactly the path the Democratic Party is going down.
I did say it, and I appreciate your acknowledging that, Trish. Thank you. But I never thought that we would have the Maduro-Chavez wing of the Democratic Party. basically Democrats who embrace Cuban-style or Venezuelan-style socialism. It's absurd, demeaning, and ridiculous to the values that made our country what it is today.
And speaking of anti-Semitism, you know, this is the same Democrat Party. They've got the nerve to be hypocrites. This is the same Democratic Party that could not condemn Oman for the anti-Semitic statements that she's made. There are large segments of the Democrat far left-wing constituency that Doug made reference to, the Maduro-Chavez wing of the party, that are virulently anti-Semitic, that do not believe that Israel should exist as a Jewish state, that would want to wipe it off the map. That is a part of the Democratic Party today.
Well, I mean, that's tragic, right? Because as you said, this is not the party, you know, and by the way, that's not the party that can win. I mean, they're out there trying to destroy Joe Biden, Doug, who, you know, had Joe Biden actually run, I say he would have given Donald Trump a run for his money in 2016. They just made the mistake of, you know, putting forward Hillary Clinton. I know you like her and everything because you're close to Bill, but let's face it, she's no Bill.
Well, she's no Bill. I didn't support her, though I have worked for her. And I would say Joe Biden's now well ahead in the polls. Why does the left wing do exactly what Niger says they're trying to do, which is to drag him down and drag down anyone who's in the middle and is a moderate, rational person? And to me, the left is intolerant, they're hostile, and they really are more about their own ideological purity than winning an election and offering an alternative set of positive policies to those of the president.
What a shame. Niger and Doug.
It is a shame.
Good to see you guys. Thank you so much.